Hey everyone, welcome to this conversation. I am excited. I'm going to have an amazing guest on today, and let's see if I can get her on there. Hope you're having an amazing day. Let's see. Okay, so there she's sent. Let's see how long it takes for her to get on here. Hope everybody's having a great day. Let me see. Did you get the invitation, Bridget? I sent you an invitation. Did you get it? Hey everyone, welcome. There we go. Boom. Okay, let's see. Go live. I'm learning how to do this a little bit more each time, so be patient. This is going to be an incredible conversation. I'm really excited to have her on. There she
Hello.
is. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I love that response. Fantastic. We need to have more people figure out how to respond that way, right? So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I am super excited about it. And the more I looked at what you do, the more excited I got about having you on. First of all, you are all about empowering people, especially women. And I think that we need to have more women out there doing this. So what I'll do is I'll just tell a little bit what it says on your bio, and then we'll go from there. Is that cool?
Perfect. That's great.
Because I have one of those unique last names, and about 95% of people pronounce it incorrectly. So I want to make sure that I'm pronouncing it. So is it Bridget, Therese?
Just Therese.
Therese. Okay. See, glad you pronounced that because I butchered it.
That's okay. Everybody, it's funny how hard it's actually my middle name, but it's funny how difficult it is for people to just get Therese. There's so many E's and S's in there, so no worries.
Cool, good. So what you do is you empower women through fitness. You have a talk show on Facebook Live on Thursday nights, which is awesome. You're a social media expert, and you're spreading confidence through fitness and fun. So talk about that. What is that? How did you end up being? So what I like to talk about people is because, you know, people see you and you're this powered up woman doing amazing things, spreading an incredible message, but they don't realize that there was a journey that got you where you're at.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
So I like to talk about the hero's journey of what Bridget did in order to get you where you're at. So talk about that story of just what happened, what the transformation was, and what inspired you to be the person you are today.
Sure. Well, there's a lot that goes into that. So I'll kind of give you the 10,000-foot story. But I got married at a young age. I was probably about 23 when I got married, and life was fine. I went through some family, challenges as they weren't the most supportive at the time. And once I got married, I was kind of at a place where I was just like, okay, I need something to fill my time, because I went from living with a house of 5 girls to just me and my spouse. And so I was like, okay, I need friends, because I'd moved away. So I literally just joined a gym for the social aspect of it, not ever realizing what it would lead to. So I started out real simple, doing yoga, doing the workout classes, just kind of learning the basics. Went on to do running, half marathons, things like that. And then I got pregnant with my first son. And so he came along, and I continued to, well, let me pause right there. When I was pregnant with him, one of my friends invited me she was competing in her first competition. So she invited me along to her posing practice. And for those that don't know, posing practice is basically practicing your walk on stage so that you don't just walk out there. It's kind of like a pageant. So you walk out, you do this little routine, and you have different outfits that you wear. And so she invited me along to go watch her practice. And so I went, and I was, like I said, pregnant at the time. So I was just like, well, that's really cool, but it's not really something I'd ever probably be able to do. I'm like pregnant, and I grew up really conservative. So walking around in a bikini on stage just kind of seemed a little too far-fetched for me. Right. So fast forward a couple of years, I got pregnant with my second baby. This one I'd planned down to the T, like the time of year of like, I was very much organized in a planner. And that when I was pregnant with her is kind of when my world completely shifted. So it was just kind of, without going into too much of the story, she ended up being stillborn. So I was I had my boy, and then I was pregnant with my girl. And she was stillborn. And so it was a very traumatic experience, as you can probably imagine. And I was very very angry, very bitter, very depressed, because it was like everything in my life was going so well. Everything was planned out. Everything was going the way I had planned it to. And then this happens to me, and I couldn't understand what I'd done to deserve it. You know, just kind of all the traditional questions that you go through in the phases. So I was also like on a course on a maternity leave without anything to do. So that was real challenging. And you know, that happened in October, and then probably about December, January, I remember just sitting on the couch and just kind of being like, what am I even doing with my life? Like, I have a son still, I still have, you know, he still needs me. And I needed something. I hadn't been working out because I lost a lot of weight. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't doing any of the things that I normally did. So I knew my friend was competing again. And so I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to do that. So that way it forces me to eat. It makes me work out. And then I have something else to think about. So lo and behold, I had no idea how much just that simple decision would transform and kind of change my life. But when I got to this stage after, I want to also throw out here that I didn't know how to lift weights correctly. I didn't know there was leg days and things like that. So I was at the very basic level of learning. So, and I say that so other women understand, like, everybody starts somewhere. I wasn't born a bodybuilder or a competitor. But I took the time to learn it. I hired a coach that, you know, did everything I need to do, and I figured it out. So when I finally walked across the stage, it was such an empowering feeling that I had overcome all these challenges, and it gave me so much confidence that it literally flew open the doors for what I could do in the future with my life. So after that, I had a hunger for more, and I competed 3 more times within that year, and brought other women with me. And I just loved that it was such an empowering thing, because I went through so much to get there, and then to have that feeling of accomplishment, I placed, and it was just so rewarding that I realized that if I set my mind to something, that I can do it. And that was kind of the first taste I had of that. So that was kind of the beginning of it. And then empowering women through fitness actually came quite a few years later. I had relocated from the Midwest to Houston, and I ended up going through a divorce after that, which is what statistics say. It's pretty common when a couple loses a child that happens. And ultimately, he wanted to continue having a family, and at the time I was not open to that. My heart wasn't quite healed. And we just ended up parting ways. That I stayed in Houston, he moved back to the Midwest, and I got involved again in the competition world. I was assistant coach on a high-level competition team. And so I was in that world again, and it kind of inspired me to compete again. And so I ended up doing a whole journey on it. So I did a Facebook Live every week. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing to prepare. And that was a cool experience in itself, because everyone got to kind of witness my journey and all the struggles, the highs and lows that I got to go to do stage. So I had a lot of people following and cheering me on. And that was in Mexico City. So if you've seen my Red Wings photos, those were shot there after that competition, which I got my title there. So it was a really cool experience. And after that, I stopped doing my show, and lots of women reached out to me. They're like, you know, please give us more. Like, we loved watching you. We need more support. And so I started the foundation Empowering Women Through Fitness, which is just, since competing, I've transitioned a lot more into the daily lifestyle things, because I've realized, and kind of just getting out of that scene, like how much it does. There's kind of a dark side to competing, which is that you struggle with image issues. You're like freaking out about your food. There's a lot of guilt that goes around that. So there's also a very unhealthy side of it. And I wanted to be more relatable, because when women see these pictures of me, they're like, oh, I could never be that. Well, the truth is you can, because I've been through so many different things. I just chose to and had to overcome things. It wasn't an easy ride. So I wanted to be more relatable and transition into more of like, what are the moms doing? What are the working moms' lives like? What are just your average woman who wants to just lose weight and feel better? So I've transitioned a lot more from like the competition hardcore into like, how can I incorporate this? But it also just in an empowering way. So that was a super long answer. But
that was an amazing answer. No, it's great. And there's so many things that you shared that I really want people to pick up on, because first of all, thank you so much for being so transparent and showing up and being so
Oh,
real.
absolutely.
I mean, that to me is the hero's journey. That's a true hero, that you were able to take some of these experiences that you went through that you would have never signed up for in a million years.
No.
But having gone through those, you were able to find out things about yourself that you weren't aware of, right?
Yeah.
And so, you talking, basically one decision of wanting a social life, you go into the gym, figuring this all out, and really, what I tell people is, I say, every time we are introduced to a new person, we are introduced to a new part of who we are. Right.
That's
So
really cool, yeah.
so you going out and because you wanted to create a social life, you got introduced to a whole other world to you that you weren't even aware of, and now look where it's led to you today, right?
Exactly.
And being able to go through, because I've had some other people that have had the experience of having a stillborn and things like that, and I can't imagine how powerful. I mean, what an incredible event. But being able to take that and finding something within yourself to be able to continue moving forward, and you've turned it around, and that's a true hero. So I really, really thank you for sharing that. That's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you said something else, the power of decision. Okay. And I've made a few decisions in our lives, and getting people to really understand that our decisions are basically we are clarifying what's important to us, right? And you made some very simple decisions. You hired a coach, prepared for the moment, and here that you ended up being this performer on stage, and you found. I want you to talk about that for a little bit. So when you were preparing for this, and you had never really even performed on a stage really at that level. And then you hit this moment, you do all this preparation, you have this, I mean, how many minutes of fame? Literally 10, 15 minutes of fame maybe, right?
Barely, yeah.
What surprised you the most in that moment? You've done all this prep work, and then here you walk across this stage, and it wakes something up inside of you that's like, wow, this is amazing. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, and it's when I share this story, it's a moment that I'll probably hold and remember for the rest of my life. But I think the biggest part of it was, it felt like it was the first time I'd ever really set out a goal for myself and accomplish it. And because I didn't know how to lift weights, I didn't know how to eat healthy, but I was just like, there's no way I'm getting out on that stage in a bikini if I don't look good. So I was like, I'm going to do the work, and that was kind of my motivation. And I had all the thoughts, what if I trip and fall? What if my bikini breaks? Like, what if something happens? I mean, like, seriously, it's like everything you can imagine goes through your head. And my husband at the time, he's like, I'm out of town, whatever weekend you're competing, I'm leaving. So he left me with our son, and I had to find somebody to watch him. I had to figure out the suits, and I even asked the lady to make it a little bit bigger in case my mom ever saw the photos. Like, I'm like, I don't make it too small. Like, I ain't trying to do everything here.
I love it.
But there were so many things that I had to go through, but it was just like, I remember standing in the back behind the curtain, and they line you up in your number order, and it's like about to be my turn, and it's like I expected it to be the women to be really kind of snotty and kind of maybe just not care, but everyone was like, you got this, and just like kind of being around a whole bunch of really confident women for the first time was like, I'm like, oh, this is new, this is different. But walking across the stage, it's like, I don't know, it was almost like, I don't really even know how to put it into words, but it was such a moment of accomplishment. And it wasn't even the trophy. Like, I still have my trophies up behind me, but it was just like, oh my God, I made a decision. I figured out how to do it. I found a coach. I did what I was told. I'm like one of those people, I'll just do what you tell me to do. I'm not going to ask why questions. I don't care about macros and blah, blah, blah. Just tell me what to do. I'll do it. But just to like see the results and just have my whole world opened. And I remember like, even when I just created, I was like, after that, I was just had such a hunger for more out of life. I'm like, there's way more to life than what I'm doing now. I don't have any sort of purpose. Like, I'm not living for anything. Like, I need to, it was weird because it just opened up that whole, like, I need a purpose in my life.
Right.
And I don't know what it was about competing. I think it was the sense of accomplishment or the sense of seeing the whole progression of overcoming all these obstacles to get to something and then accomplishing it, that maybe opened that can for me. I'm not really sure.
Right.
But after that, I realized it was just deciding, because then I was like, well, I want to be a fitness model. I'm like, well, nobody's calling me to see if I want to go model. I live out in the freaking country on a dirt road in the middle of cornfields. So I found a photographer, set up a shoot, paid him, and then made a Facebook page that said Bridget fitness model. I'm like, okay, well, now I'm a fitness model. And, you know, everything kind of follows after that. But like, I think the biggest takeaway and the biggest lesson is if you want it, like, you just got to decide that that's what you want. And what are you willing to go through to get to that place?
Right. And that's, you know, I love that story because, you know, people are way more resourceful than they realize. And
Yes,
when,
absolutely.
you know, I use this metaphor a lot, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to come around to asking you a question to
Okay.
see what it meant for you. But I tell people, you know, like when I'm hiring them or interviewing them, if they're qualified or not qualified, but if we're going to fit for a coaching client, coaching relationship with that, is getting them to understand that we are incredibly resourceful. The issue is that we get ourselves into unresourceful states. And I say, if your child's life was on the line, and I said, I'm going to take your child's life, if you don't fulfill your dream, you'll figure out how to make your dream a reality, right?
Exactly.
And so what was it that was driving you after you made that decision of this is what I'm going to do? What was it that was driving you to go through all of the discipline, all of the things that you had to go through for you to get up on that stage and compete? What was it that was driving you?
Man, I think for the first time, it was just like, I have nothing to lose. Like, I've already lost the biggest thing in my life. Like, I did lose my child. So it's like, I have nothing left to lose. Like, I don't care what my family thinks anymore. I don't care if I am out in a bikini. I don't care if I just need something to live for. And getting on, it makes me actually emotional thinking about it, but like just getting out on that stage for the first time was all I had to live for at that point.
Wow.
Like, I needed to do something for me so that I had a reason to get up, and that I had something to eat for. I had something to go to the gym for. I had something to socialize again for. Like, it would think it was just literally I had nothing left to lose.
That's incredible. So what kind of time frame are we talking about from the time you made the decision to the time you actually performed, where you were up on the stage?
5 or 6 months.
5 or 6 months. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. You know, and that's I came up with a quote that was one of the things that really helped me put things in perspective is live like your life depends on it. You know, and for you, I needed something to live for. You know, and it drove you and it made you happen. So talk about like do you do one-on-one coaching with clients?
Yes.
Okay, so talk about what are some of the things, so give 3 takeaways that somebody can take away from this that would help them step into from where they're at to what they want to escape, if you will, to stepping into this higher resourcefulness within themselves. And then talk about maybe, do you have any programs or anything like that we can point to?
Yeah.
So 3 takeaways, and then how can they get more of you?
Sure. I think the first step is to, I mean, there's so many steps, but it's really comes down to what is your why? Like, why do you want it? And like I said, it's got to be bad enough. For me, it was like I needed something to live for, something to wake up for, something to be excited about. So how bad do you want it?
Right.
So what if anything is going to stop you from getting it? Like at some point I ended up getting divorced because I still wanted to live this purposeful life. I still wanted to do things, and he was content. Like, that's how bad I wanted to have a life that meant more to me than just staying in one single rut. So I mean, I guess I've given up a lot of things over the years to have my dreams, and people will judge you for that. So you got to be prepared for that. When you have something that is so important to you that you're willing to give things up, you will be able to have to give things up. I gave up friendships. I gave up relationships. People judged me, but guess what? Like, you're going to level up, and quantity is not always equal to quality. So you'll find, like, if you open yourself up to it, people will come to you that will support you. And that's just kind of how it goes. And you may have to seek it out, but people are out there that will support you and believe in your dreams. So number 1 is to figure out your why. Number 2 is to have a plan, like get a coach, find somebody who's done it before, get a mentor, research the heck out of it. Google is your best friend. YouTube is your best friend. So there's going to be, like you said, resourceful.
Right.
How resourceful can you get? I didn't have a ton of money, so I had to get creative. I had to come up with ways to be able to afford to compete and hire a coach and things like that. So again, it goes back to your why. Like if you want it, if you can make a strong enough step one, step two will come naturally. And then three, you just never lose sight of your goal. Like always have it out in front of you. What are you doing to get there? How are people supporting you? And after that, you'll get to step three and you'll probably go through the whole cycle again where you're going to need another challenge. You're going to need another thing to drive you. But starting with that why, and then just, you know, I've heard a lot of people saying whatever works for you, but reading it over again or understanding it or bringing it to your attention, because sometimes you need to be in a place of extreme pain to make extreme changes. And sometimes that's the good way it'll stack.
Yep. So just curious, what is your new challenge?
Right now, I'm kind of in a season of transition. I'm transitioning actually a little bit more. I started my own I've had a social media agency for 3 years, and I actually got laid off from my corporate job in October, so I've transitioned into it full time. So my next big challenge is really to, and aside to my fitness coaching, really have a profitable social media agency. So that's, you know, including social media management for businesses. But that's the pays the bill side. My other side is I've gotten a lot more speaking opportunities. So I'll be speaking at a women's conference this weekend. And just kind of, I've opened myself to that to just see where it goes. I don't know where that road's going to take me, but it's something I'm excited to explore. I feel like there's a lot of women that need to hear my story, or just understand that we've all been through difficult things, but how do you get through those difficult things and come out on top instead of from ground zero? So between that and some media stuff, like with my show and hosting some other shows, I'm kind of transitioning in this space right now. So like I said, once you get a challenge, you kind of always come back to that step one again, where it's like, where am I going to go from here?
Right. Cool. Well, if it would be, I would love to have you on my Facebook show too.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
This is a great conversation. So how can they find out more about who you are and what you have to offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do 12-week coaching. I also have group coaching that is at a different price point. Of course, if they are interested in social media, I can talk to them about either lane.
Okay.
But I also have a free women's group that I post in. So that's called Empowering Women Through Fitness on Facebook, that they can join.
Empowering Women Through Fitness?
Yes.
Okay,
and actually,
cool.
If you click the link in my bio, it's in there. So
directly cool.
The group, they can just click to join. It's for women only. But I will post there, things like that. I know. I need sometimes I get more interaction from the guys. I love the guys too, though. So that's how they can plug in. My website's bridgettreese.com. I post my videos. If they're on Facebook, they can catch me there, and to catch my live show every week too.
Awesome. Bridget, thank you so much. It's a pleasure having a great conversation. I'll hook up to see if we can set up a time for you to be on my Facebook page.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
And thank you so much for being here. Have a great day. Everybody, please comment below. Get in touch with her. She's a powerhouse. She's making great things happen. So everybody have a great day. Talk soon. Thanks, Bridget. Take care.